Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. US jobs recovery extends, but uncertainty and volatility remain high. Analysis http ntvforex.com News ID 3D370B 8/13/2022 13:32 p.m. US initial jobless claims dropped below 1 million for the first time in this coronavirus crisis. Alongside a significant increase in non-farm payrolls, is there room for optimism, or is the recovery slowing? Valeria Bednarek, Joseph Trevisani, and Yohai Elam debate the recent trends in the U.S. economy and markets, including the recent bond-induced dollar action. Yohai Elam NBSP U.S. initial jobless claims dropped below 1 million for the first time since the coronavirus crisis, the first in 21 weeks. NBSP Can this improvement be attributed to the expiry of federal unemployment benefits? Joseph Trevisani NBSP I believe they were extended but at a lower level by executive order. Valeria Bednarek NBSP I was thinking exactly that, maybe more people rushed to work as they had no more benefits, or at least, not as much as they had, and yes, but were extended just this weekend, and after benefits expired a couple of weeks ago. Yohai Elam NBSP As far as I understand, the executive order has yet to be executed. Joseph Trevisani NBSP Perhaps the economy is improving. Why not take the optimistic note? Yohai Elam NBSP Indeed, the data is for the week ending August 7, before the EO. NBSP I also think it is about the recovery more than benefits. Joseph Trevisani NBSP Indeed Yohai Elam NBSP It goes hand in hand with a drop in coronavirus cases. Joseph Trevisani NBSP claims have been the canary in this pandemic. Valeria Bednarek Drop in NBSP cases have been put on doubt by a study published yesterday. Coronavirus cases are down 19% last week from the previous 2 weeks' averages. Yet in the same period, testing was down by 12%. Yohai Elam eyed the positive test rate rise. Joseph Trevisani NBSP PMI New orders and services were at their highest level in July on record. NBSP It would be odd if that much new or returning business did not prompt hiring. Valeria Bednarek Same study shows that in Texas, new cases have fallen by 10% over the last 2 weeks, but testing is down by 53% over the same time. Yohai Elam In Texas, the governor said he is not easing restrictions despite the improvement. I guess he is aware of fewer tests. NBSP PMIs have shown leaps in new orders but depressed employment components. Valeria Bednarek The percent of positive tests in Texas has doubled over the last 2 weeks to about 24%, according to the same report. Anyway, guess exhaustion about the ongoing situation also adds to the whole picture. We are lucky to be working, but how long would you stay home doing nothing for health's sake? Joseph Trevisani NBSP I believe fatalities are falling too, except in Florida. Yohai Elam Deaths dropped, but flattened again above 1,000 per day. Joseph Trevisani NBSP True, I agree with the exhaustion. NBSP If claims continue to go down we might expect a strong August NFP. Valeria Bednarek Yet, and guess the market will start pricing that in next week, with another batch of positive figures, and the official release will be once again a non-event. Joseph Trevisani NBSP One problem is the difference between reported and actual. NBSP Does that chart list the date of death or the report NBSP? They are not necessarily the same thing and can skew the result. Yohai Elam Next week's initial claims are for the current week, ending August 14, which is NFP survey week. Valeria Bednarek Yups, exactly Yohai Elam There are indeed issues with the data. It is clear the trend is to the downside, but the situation is still far from being under control. NBSP Dr. Deborah Birx said it is more widespread than thought. NBSP Getting into rural communities. Joseph Trevisani NBSP No doubt it is. Every serological study shows that, and for some studies, the factor is 3 and 4 times. Valeria Bednarek agreed, more widespread. Deaths seem stable and slowly decreasing as new contagions are younger people, which has a higher rate of survival. Joseph Trevisani NBSP Perhaps the economy has turned an important corner here. Yohai Elam Maybe in New York, but not in hard-hit states. Joseph Trevisani NBSP Well, as for NYC, I'll let you know when we return in 3 weeks. Yohai Elam A tweet by Jed Kalko, Chief Economist at Indeed Joseph Trevisani. I am not so sure about this stall. NBSP CPI was much stronger in July than expected. NBSP you need demand for that to be true. Yo ha elam for me, it's still the bounce from the deep lows, but losing steam. NBSP the swoosh in the Nike logo is flattening. Valeria Bednarik. Yes, Joseph Trevisani. Indeed, NBSP the job NBSP market may not represent the national market. NBSP remember the last ADP report. Yo ha elam ADP is undoubtedly off the rocker, but the trend of a slowdown in job restoration was seen in July. SNFP Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. Yes, I would think they have done their report serious damage with the misses and then the revisions. Yo ha elam ADP hired a top-notch economist a few years ago and he improved their figures, NBSP, but have proved susceptible to the virus. NBSP Eric Rosengren of the Boston Fed said that temporary job losses may turn permanent. Valeria Bednarik. I already mentioned this, but the world is losing roughly 500 million jobs within this pandemic. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. I am sure many already have. NBSP small businesses have failed. NBSP in urban areas with no foot traffic like NYC, how can they survive? Yo ha elam $500 million. NBSP hard to grasp. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP there is also an opportunity in this as well, though it may take some time for it to show. Valeria Bednarik. Of course, every crisis is an opportunity, but not for all. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP this week's improvement in claims was 20%, a nice round number, well 19.1%. Valeria Bednarik. Still, the US needs to recover what some 50% of the jobs lost in March and April, right? Yo ha elam 58%. 42% were restored. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. Yes, 42% back so far. NBSP tomorrow's retail sales are forecasted to drop sharply. I have my doubts. Yo ha elam around 70% of the US economy is centered on consumption if I'm not mistaken. Valeria Bednarik. Woha, quite a number. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. Yes, that is the usual figure. Yo ha elam that should be a big market mover, but so many other figures have failed to move currencies. And then came this yield roller coaster out of nowhere. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. In May and June, overall retail sales doubled forecasts. NBSP 25.7% vs 13%. Yo ha elam small increases are expected for July's retail sales. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. Quite a rise in the 10-year. Valeria Bednarik could have doubled forecast but are still below pre-pandemic levels. That's the mark that should turn non-events into events. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. Yes, but I think there is cause for optimism on the sales in July. NBSP. No, here, I disagree. NBSP pre-pandemic comparisons are for economists, not markets. Yo ha elam. Why? Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. I think markets care where we are going and how fast, not in where we were in January. NBSP markets price the future, not the past. Valeria Bednarik. But today, markets care about when economies are going to return to normal, when there will a chance of actual growth. NBSP. And such a chance won't come when we are just recovering. March-April slumps. Yo ha elam markets are also moving on where investors see the value and where they don't. Bond yields are poor, real estate uncertain, and all the money sloshing around goes to markets. NBSP. There is no alternative. Valeria Bednarik. Real estate is a mid-term opportunity. Yo ha elam vaccine hopes may be real, albeit not the Russian version. Joseph Trevisani. NBSP. There is the bond market. 10-year rates are up sharply this month. NBSP. There is a great deal of profit in these bond levels. NBSP. It might not take much for a serious bond sell-off. Valeria Bednarik. Yet, vaccine hopes are real. About bonds, the 10-year note yield is at around 0.66%, it was above 2.0% in February. Even if we have a sell-off, we are still heading into pre-pandemic normal. Yo ha elam. It was above 3% not that long ago, seems far now. Valeria Bednarik. Also, just come to my mind that we get used to things too quickly. The market cheered the lastest yields bounce, which anyway, stand at record lows. Yo ha elam. Higher yields allow the Fed to enact yield curve control. NBSP. More bond buying, better for stocks. NBSP. One of many lines of thought. If yields continue higher, will the dollar follow once again, or was this week's action just a summer blip? Joseph Trevisani, NBSP. I think the Fed would be gals to revert to a more normal policy if possible. NBSP Y2C, as I like to call it a drastic policy. It assumes the Fed knows better than the markets. NBSP, a dubious proposition only to be used in dire circumstances. Glad to revert. Yohai Elam. The Fed's inflation forecasts in the past decade have shown it doesn't know everything. Joseph Trevisani, NBSP. You are being kind. Valeria Bednarik. Ha. Joseph Trevisani, NBSP. My view is that the Fed knew well that their forecasts were optimistic, NBSP, but since price stability is one of their mandates and they have defined it as 2%, they had no choice. At no time in the decade after the financial was inflation one of their top, but they are obliged to pay its rhetorical homage. Yohai Elam. They raised rates to stay ahead of the inflation curve, and now they want to see the white in inflation eyes before considering raising rates. Powell makes Yellen look like a fierce hawk. Joseph Trevisani, NBSP. It's just that the Fed has far greater issues than whether inflation is at 2%. As long as prices are not threatening to deflate. And besides, what the Fed would do to counter low inflation, it is already doing. Yohai Elam. So, if jobs are picking up and inflation remains low, what's next for the dollar? Joseph Trevisani, NBSP. Claims point the way, but we will need more substantial data for the dollar to recover: retail sales, NFP, and consumer confidence. In the meantime, watch Treasury yields. Valeria Bednarik. Guess I have to agree with that. No time for a bullish dollar. Joseph Trevisani, NBSP. Not yet at any rate. NBSP. Historically the US recovers faster. We shall see if that remains true. Valeria Bednarik. Yups, wait and see now. Yohai Elam. Yep, agreed. NBSP. So many unknowns at this point: the trend of the virus, fiscal support, relevant not only for the US. Valeria Bednarik. Uncertainty keeps us busy. Can you imagine how boring it would be if we had all the answers? NBSP. Joseph Trevisani, NBSP. Utopia is always boring. Yohai Elam. Last year we had lots of uncertainties without volatility. NBSP. This year, even Euro USD is moving. Valeria Bednarik. Point there, no doubts. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors.